Good evening.
Good evening.
The City Council Special Call Meeting of Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 is hereby called to order. We will begin with an invocation by Pastor Lou Golson. May we stand, please, all who can?
Father, we come before you today, Father, with such needs of our community. We come, dear God, as a people looking for your guidance, your leading. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done. We come, dear God, Lord Jesus, because we're part of this community. We come, dear God, Lord Jesus, with an open heart for answers and directions from you, dear God. We've come, dear God, Lord Jesus, to be a people with one mind and one accord to do thy will in our community. I plead the blood of Jesus on every demonic fear, demonic force, the hands of the enemy that's trying to come against Forest Park, Georgia. We come against that, dear God, because we need your direction. We need, dear God, your hands tonight, Father God, to lead us and to guide us. And I pray for the city council. I pray, dear God, for the city manager. I pray for our mayor, Father God, because we're one in this community to build a great community for the kingdom of God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Could you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, interim city manager, staff, Forest Park residents, and guests. This is the roll call for the special call meeting of the Mayor and Council for May 19th, 2026. Mayor Ellison. Here. Councilmember James.
Present.
Councilmember Gunn.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Councilmember Akins Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor Ellison, you have a quorum.
We have the adoption of the agenda. If any additions or deletions, is there anything the governing body would like to add or delete? Not. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to the appeal hearing. Good evening. I now call this appeal hearing to order. As mayor, I will be presiding over tonight's proceedings, which concern the appeal filed by Brandon Chris in response to the city manager's decision to terminate his employment as the police chief. Under our city code, when the city manager issues a notice of termination, that director is immediately placed on suspension with pay, including all benefits throughout the appeal period and continuing until the city council has issued a final decision. Chief Chris has exercised his right to appeal within the required 10-day appeal period, and this hearing is being held to review the termination. Before we begin, I want to note that the City Council and I have already received and reviewed the record related to this matter, which includes the employee handbook, professional service agreement, investigative findings report, termination notice, notice of appeal, and notice of appeal hearing. This prior review is intended to ensure that each council member enters the hearing with an understanding of the issues and the basis for the city manager's decision. Let me take a moment to outline how tonight's appeal hearing will proceed so that all parties understand the order and expectations. The parties will have 30 minutes each to present. First, the city manager or her designee will present the grounds for the termination, explain the investigative process, and provide any additional evidence or testimony not already in the record. Next, the police chief or his representative will then present. During these presentations, both sides may submit documents or other evidence for the council's consideration. They may also call witnesses to provide relevant testimony. All materials and testimony should relate directly to the basis for the termination. The rules of evidence does not apply, and no cross-examinations will be permitted. After both sides have concluded their presentations, the City Council will have the opportunity to ask questions. These questions may concern the documents submitted, the testimony offered, or any matter relevant to our review of the city manager's decision. Once questioning has concluded, Chief Chris will be given an additional 10 minutes to offer a closing statement. After the closing statement, the evidentiary portion of the hearing will be closed. We will then move into deliberations. The city code does not require that a decision be made immediately at the close of this hearing. However, please note that when the council does render its decision, the city manager's action may only be overturned or modified by 3 affirmative votes of the city council. If the council upholds the termination, that termination becomes effective immediately upon the council's decision. If the council overturns the termination, the director will return to duty under conditions established by the city council. While this is a public meeting, this is an administrative personnel appeal, and no public comment is permitted. Our goal tonight is to ensure a fair, orderly, and transparent process consistent with the city code and respectful for all parties involved. I ask that everyone maintain professionalism and adhere to the procedures as outlined. With that, we will begin. I now invite the city manager or her representative to present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On behalf of the Office of the City Manager, we thank you for the opportunity to appear at this hearing concerning the change in leadership at the Police Services Department. Like all employment decisions, this decision was made with great consideration following an extensive investigation. With regards to the investigation, after certain allegations were made concerning Mr. Chris, the city engaged an outside law firm to conduct an unbiased investigation of the allegations. In this regard, the investigator considered city records, policies, manuals, procedures, as well as met with individuals with personal knowledge concerning the allegations, as well as reviewed transcripts to prepare an extensive report that is a part of the record before you today. Because this is a personnel matter, there are certain legal considerations governing what should be discussed publicly. However, the office believes that the record before the mayor and council speaks for itself and supports the conclusion that a change in leadership at the department is in the best interest of the city. Specifically, as chronicled in the investigation report, the investigator found chronic absences and the failure to account for work time, misrepresentation and manipulation of records, failure to comply with leave policies, abuses and delegation of authority without oversight, procurement irregularities, deception and concealment of operational realities, compromise of internal controls and audit integrity, violation of administrative orders during an active investigation, as well as security failures at the 911 center. Again, all of these matters are chronicled in the report that is before Mayor and Council today. As stated in the notice to Mr. Chris, this decision is for a cause and based upon a finding of multiple violations of the city charter, the manual, policies and procedures, as well as city ordinances. Reasonable people can disagree, but the office stands by the decision. And although this interim city manager remains ready to answer any questions at this time, the office stands by the record before the mayor and council. As such, Mr. Chris may proceed with the presentation of additional information related to the decision. In closing, however, I want to remind the mayor and council that regardless of your findings with respect to cause, pursuant to the agreement with Mr. Chris, the city may terminate without cause pursuant to the agreement. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. At this time, Chief Chris, are you ready to present?
Yes. Good, uh, good evening, Mayor, Council,
Good evening.
Madam Clerk. Are you having an issue hearing me? Do I need to,
Yes.
to use a microphone? I'm happy to. Is this okay?
Yeah.
All right. So good evening, Madam
Good.
Mayor, Council, and Madam Clerk. Thank you for allowing me to be here on behalf of Chief Chris this evening. My name is Nathan Wade, and I obviously represent Chief Chris in these proceedings. And thank you again for hearing us. I won't belabor the point, but I'd like to say a few things ahead of a PowerPoint presentation that has been prepared for the council's consideration. Mayor, you have outlined the rules surrounding this hearing, and thank you for doing that. I've done this for almost 30 years, and several times I've had the opportunity to represent different chiefs in different cities across the state, and each time is different. So I don't want to do anything to offend this body, but is there a way to extend that 30-minute period at all, respectfully?
How long you're speaking of?
I just would hate for the expiration of that 30-minute time period to come upon us and then we're abruptly cut off. So maybe just a few minutes beyond that, if need be. I'm not even certain that we'll get to the 30-minute mark. Is that okay?
Once we get close to that, we'll determine it.
Yes, ma'am.
I think.
Thank you.
Yes.
There would need to be a
Yes.
decision to extend. But so if you want to wait, you can do it now or wait if necessary.
I have a question. So you saying we have to vote on the time? Because it's not in our charter that it has to be 30 minutes.
Practice. And so anytime like public comment, as you can see in the charter or any hearing, if additional time is needed, then it's a vote from the body to extend that time.
Okay.
So my
Well-
question is like a standard practice like that can be open to interpretation, or is that like a you thing that like for us?
It's my fault. You want yourself like that.
But it's up to the governing body.
Okay, so just point of clarity, because normally during a council meeting, if a resident is speaking, they ask the mayor for more time and the mayor can grant them that time. So now we have to vote on it.
So the mayor may have done that previously, but in the ordinances, it's the city council that grants the additional time.
Okay, so you've been allowing us to,
It's
okay.
It has 30 sessions.
Thank you.
It has 30 sessions.
Okay. Is there a motion to grant additional time, possibly at least 10 additional minutes? I make a motion, we'll grant 20 extra minutes, let him present his case. Nobody's heard his side. If we're gonna be fair, if everybody's heard her side, while she terminate him, then let everybody hear his side. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Can we amend instead of 20 minutes to give an additional?
So the motion's on the floor.
I'm sorry.
So if you vote, read a motion.
Motion. If y'all gonna be fair, if we're gonna be fair, and I want to do this in decency and in order, but if we're gonna be fair, and whether this is Chief Chris, whether this is you, Chief Clemens, or any other direct, whoever, we want to be fair and we want to be consistent and we want to be transparent. So the people are here to know what happened. You just had your case, but he just only had 3 minutes to, he just.
Point
only
of
had 3
order,
minutes.
Madam Mayor. If we could take the vote, then we can go to another vote. I would like to proceed with the vote, and then I will make another motion.
Okay. That's fine. That motion passes. We're going to go with another motion.
Yes, ma'am. I'll just make a motion that we wait until his presentation to determine whether we can
Extend it.
extend the time.
Is there a second? All in favor? Opposed? No. The ayes carried. The motion passes. So you may proceed.
Certainly it wasn't our, I guess, intent to upset the apple cart in any way, but as you could see, the confusion as it relates to the process and procedures today, I was unable to locate any concrete rules as it pertains to this setting. So forgive me if I say or do something that is outside of your normal protocols, but I was unable to find anything that would dictate the order of the day. You know, the interesting piece, council stood and he read on behalf of the interim city manager in her absence, he read an evidentiary finding, and he mentioned that there were we may want to present additional pieces of evidence. And we would contend that we're presenting nothing additional. There was nothing ever requested of us, nothing. I've represented Chief Chris from the inception of this, and not one time was any evidence requested. Nothing. I don't find that to be an orderly investigation. I think that there are better ways to do this. Now, interestingly enough, we're talking about, before we get into the PowerPoint presentation, indulge me, we're talking about public safety, public safety, not political safety. It seems to me that this is more of a political action as opposed to a public safety action, because this was not initiated. At least I couldn't find anywhere in the allegations where the public has launched any allegations against Chief Chris. So that's initially when he came to me with the issue. That's where we start. What are the allegations and where did they come from? And it is apparent to me that the allegations have not come from the public. They've come from a political source, and that's a problem. Respectfully, that's a problem. So as not to eat into our time, I'd like to go ahead and dive into the PowerPoint presentation and then address you after the presentation. Is that okay?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council.
Good evening.
Trying to stay encouraged. It's just a little heartbreaking that I have not been given a fair opportunity. And there's no rules or regulations that surround this meeting, but I'm being limited to 30 minutes to plead my case. This presentation, I'll be going over transparency, fairness, and due process and context. You go to the next slide, please. I'm not going to touch the presentation overview, but these are some of the things I'm going to be looking at and I want to discuss. I'm going to discuss each one of these allegations that the city has brought forth. Next slide. Why this hearing matters. You just heard from my attorney that this is stemming from some type of political situation. But I'm hoping that this public hearing allows the people who put me in this position to hear. I was selected after multiple interviews involving the public. I had an interview with the police chiefs, several employees, department directors, and community stakeholders. I went through 4 or 5 interviews before I was appointed as the chief of police for the city of Forest Park. This hearing impacts my career, the reputation, my reputation from premature statements that were made, my family, and my years of service. I'm asking for a fair and unbiased, transparent process, and that's why we're here today. You can proceed. The administrative leave decision concerns. There are questions exist regarding whether council, the mayor, and/or the city attorney were even consulted before this action was even taken. I'm an executive level personnel, and actions involving the police chief carry significant operational and legal implications. Question: if broader executive coordination did not occur, why not? The interim city manager was aware of the leave issue approximately 60 days prior to the administrative leave. You can proceed. The alleged concerns were known nearly 2 months before I was placed on leave. There was no immediate operational or public safety threat identified. I was stripped of all my credentials, my equipment, and communication access immediately. My devices, my personal cell phone, my city cell phone was restricted immediately. Email access and calendars were immediately locked and removed. Next slide. If I was truly considered unethical or dangerous, why nearly wait 2 months before acting? During the period, I continued publicly representing and leading the department during that time. The original leave period lasted 30 days. The city gave me one written extension, extended the process through April the 10th, 2026. And that's what they were required to do. But after April the 10th, the city made no additional contact with me. They violated the agreement. There was no additional written extension or clarification was provided. We did not hear from the city for almost 2 weeks. I remained in limbo status clarification, or return to work guidance. I asked my attorney, am I to return to work? Are the provisions of this agreement still in effect? Proceed. The leave agreement referenced a formal inventory and property room storage process. That never happened. I still haven't gotten a detailed receipt of the items that were collected from me, nor were those items placed in the property room. And I have evidence to show that. Why were the inventory and property procedures not followed as outlined in the agreement? The immediate lockout prevented me from assessing records and evidence supporting my response. Why was the access to my cellular phone, the city cellular phone, and email immediately locked? Even though the administrative leave document stated I had 24 hours to turn those things over. After being on leave, I was interviewed one time. And those that know me, I've been in this profession for nearly 20 years, and majority of my career was as a criminal investigator. And I might say if I had to toot my own horn, I was probably one of the best in the state of Georgia. But I've never had an investigation that I handled where I only interviewed the suspect one time, especially something that has taken over 60 days to look into. The interview included questions involving theft, internal personal relationships, and issues outside of leave accountability. The questions that were asked were hypothetical, compound, and very difficult to answer. There were very few direct factual questions. And this was probably one of the things that stuck out the most to me. During my interview, I was asked questions involving whether I was conducting criminal investigations on city council members. This immediately raised concerns because the questions appeared to be completely unrelated to leave usage, scheduling, telework, or administrative accountability. Why was this question asked? And how was it relevant to any type of administrative investigation? The question created concern regarding whether the investigation expanded beyond its stated administrative purpose and if there was another purpose of the investigation. Was the investigation truly independent and impartial, as stated by the city attorney? I submitted open records requests seeking communications and records regarding his selection, Attorney Weems. Unanswered. Why have I not received the information pertaining to the selection process, the information or how long Attorney Weems have been a contractor for the city? At the conclusion of the interview, I extended my hand as a professional gesture and mutual respect. He looked at me and said, "No, I'm good." Is this now personal? Did he have a predetermined opinion, or is this conduct professional? Is it truly unbiased if there is a previous relationship or history with this attorney? A fair investigation requires neutrality, objectivity, and meaningful opportunity to respond, which I was not given. Concerns include delayed records, and we'll talk about that at the end. Immediate removal of my access and questioning outside of the scope and conclusions reached without full context. Was the process intended to determine the truth or support a predetermined outcome? Please ask yourself that. I'm gonna jump into the investigative report. One of the things that was alleged is that I'm not transparent and I don't communicate. I see the faces you're making. I hold weekly crime stats and I publish this information to our Facebook platform, not to hide it, but to be transparent. I even show our response times. I'm proud of these things for the city of Forest Park, and I publish those as well. I've created anonymous employee surveys so that employees can voice their concerns and or issues anonymously without the fear of retaliation. I hold monthly meetings where I don't allow the supervisors in the room so they can tell me any issues that are present so I can address them. And the other reason I do that is to get rid of rumors and gossip. I feel that rumors and gossip will tear down an organization faster than anything. So that's the reason why I have these meetings, so they can hear it from the horse's mouth. I even started public surveys at the public facing windows that where the public come to talk. And they have the option or encouraged to complete a survey so that we can distribute that so we can improve our process. That doesn't sound like me not being transparent. Department morale and leadership culture. Leadership philosophy, this is mine: firm, fair, and consistent. You'll hear me probably say that 2 or 3 more times in this presentation. Based on the investigative report, the investigator, Attorney Weems, described the workplace culture findings reflect a leadership style characterized by intimidation, hostility, and suppression of reporting. Well, I didn't know this was coming, but Pastor Tucker, our police chaplain, assessed the morale. And let me back up. Attorney Weems stated that morale was at an all-time low inside the police department. And he asked me, what would you say about that? I almost called him a lie. I caught myself in mid-sentence. And I said, Attorney Weems, that's incorrect. Based off of what you told me, you've only interviewed 20 to 30 people. And you stated that majority of the people that you've interviewed speak highly of me. But Pastor Tuck, our police chaplain, assessed the morale approximately towards the end of December. And during that time, morale was at a astounding 89% inside of the organization. Community engagement and employee wellness were also emphasized. If the department, please ask this question, if the department was truly toxic or retaliatory, why was morale this high? Unavailable in command structure. That's the next thing that Attorney Weems put in his investigative report. He said, I'm not available. I'm not present. I might be temporarily unavailable at times due to meetings, due to calls, me being in the field, operational duties, but that doesn't mean I have abandoned my responsibilities. The police chief doesn't just sit inside four walls. A good police rides through his city that he works in, a city that he should care for and care about. I always have remained available by phone, text, email, and command staff communications, and I believe every council member on this dais can attest to that. Through text messages, after hours, phone calls, I have never sent you to voicemail. I'm always responsive. And I would probably say the same thing to the community as well. My number is public. I give it to everybody. And when you call, I answer. But no operational breakdown was ever identified. And if so, I was never asked about it. But he put it in his investigative report. Next slide. My calendar and work activity contacts. One thing that Attorney Weems stated is that he presented to me in this investigation my work calendar, and that's all I was presented with. And he attempted to describe to me the color coordinations on this calendar that he gave me. And I didn't understand the calendars, but he wanted me to believe that the things are in light green and the things that are in dark green, one was added by employees and the others were added by me. But I quickly realized that his interpretation of that was wrong because there were things that he was saying I added to my calendar that I didn't. Some of those things was shop with the cop. I don't add that to my calendar. Staff does it. They send me a calendar invite, it adds to my calendar. Or reading to the kids in the elementary schools or any other event. I refuse to speculate regarding the dates because he asked me questions. Chief Chris, well, let me back up just a tad bit. He wanted me to look at this calendar, my work calendar, and tell him, he said, Chief Chris, where were you at in January of 2025? Tell me the dates that you were out of town. I said, Attorney Weems, I can't answer that question. But if I have access to my cell phone, my personal cell phone, the city cell phone, I might be able to assist you with that. I said, Attorney Weems, my wife is a flight attendant, and she's a beautiful one at that. I travel with her on the weekends where I don't have my kids or there's no city event going on, which is not too many of them. And I told him I could not look at this work calendar to tell you about my personal days that I'm not in the States. Chief Chris, so you're not willing to cooperate? I'm willing to cooperate. I said, can I pull out my phone, my cell phone that I had in my pocket to see if I can help you out with these dates? He says, no. Now, mind you, I know if I lie inside of this interview, it's immediate grounds for termination. So I had to leave that answer. Well, I can't answer that question for you for a year ago. So February 2025, Attorney Weems, I don't know. March 2025, I said, Attorney Weems, we're gonna go all the way through this thing, and I'm not gonna be able to tell you what days I was in the state, what days I was out of the state. I constantly ask for access for my phone, the city phone, my emails, my personal phone, and my calendars provide an accurate response, and my request was denied. One thing I asked to be considered is my telework days. And I think that's the best thing that this city could have done. I love my telework days, and I appreciate you all for voting on and approving it. But telework days, the city allows employees, and I didn't tell the police department that they're eligible for 2 days a week for teleworking. We only operated with one, and I was one of those employees that was involved with the telework day. My telework day was Friday. Why were telework practices suddenly viewed differently after years of operation? It's been in place for nearly 2 years. Did anyone reach out to previous city manager Ricky Clark to determine if my telework agreement exists? And if you'll stand by, at the very end of this slide slow presentation, you'll see the text message with my assistants taking those over to human resources. But I did an open records request. And I brought this up to the interim city manager, and they said they could not find it. Go to the next slide, please. Flex days were routinely communicated operational and verbally. There was no formal executive level flex time tracking system. We kept it on a calendar. I kept mine on a calendar on my desk that tracked the days that I worked on Saturdays or I came in on a Sunday or what have you. As chief, I routinely work nights and weekends. And I think patrol officers will be able to tell you that. They hear Unit 1 on the radio. I see lots of cars start to move instantly when I'm riding through the city at 2 a.m. Community events. I don't think one person can say they don't know who I am or who my family is. I am at almost every community event that happens. And I'm not off duty. I may be in plain clothes, but if something was to hit the fan, guess what? I'm also supervising at that time as well. And after our operations, I can just think of several incidents that we've had in this city. And I'm pretty sure you all remember them too. The shooting at Kiwanis Stadium. And I was out there with you, Councilwoman Gunn and Councilwoman Wells, when I had to meet with the news. And I think if you all remember, I was probably out there that night till about 1 or 2 in the morning in that command post. And that was on a Sunday. Mind you, my kid was out there playing. I take it to heart, this city. I don't just work in the city of Forest Park as a police chief. I bring my kid. She plays soccer here. I shop in the city. But was this even taken into consideration when reviewing the days in question? Please go to the next slide. One thing the city talks about is exempt versus non-exempt. And that's the thing that I stand it on as I was working. I'm an exempt employee. Exempt employees are salaried. And it's not an hourly based system, it's responsibility based. So if the job takes 50 hours one week or 100 hours one week, my check don't change. But what constitutes a full workday for an exempt police chief? And I say full workday because that is what the city referenced throughout this investigative report. The city has not yet identified any policy language defining a full workday for exempt executives, and they probably won't. Exempt leadership responsibilities routinely extend into the nights and the weekends. Next slide, please. Don't mess up on me. Can you pause the clock for me? Okay. You go to the next slide, please. Documentation limitations. This report claims documentation was formally requested. That's totally inaccurate. Not one piece of documentation was asked for of her by the city manager, by the city attorney, or by Attorney Weems. But that's in that investigative report. And I encourage you to ask for an email or a text message where something is shown where they have formally asked about documentation for this process. You won't find it. My access to device emails and records were, like I said, immediately removed. Despite limited access, I still identified telework days, holidays, closures, and work activity. And this is very important. On this comprehensive investigative report, there was days on there that, and it's probably 16 days. There was days on there that the city was closed due to inclement weather, but I was charged for not being here. Christmas Eve, the city is closed, and I was charged with not being here. Councilwoman Gunn, I'm sorry, I keep calling your name. The dog park opening. I was out there having allergy issues, had a mask on. I'm in photographs, but Chief Chris wasn't here. Chief Clemens, you brought the girls to Camp Believe. We did a tour of the police department. I spoke to the girls, but Chief Chris wasn't here. There's dates that are also on here that I have photographic evidence I was inside of the office. But those dates were not recognized. They stated, they were, Chief, we don't know if you worked a full work day or not. Please go to the next slide. There's been no personal gain alleged. No sustained allegations involving fraud, bribery, embezzlement, or criminal theft exist. And that's going to be very important when it comes to my professional services agreement. And I believe I'm the only department director with a contract inside of the city. There's been no criminal charges filed. The issues raised involve scheduling, telework, documentation, and policy interpretation. So why does this rise to the level of termination with cause as outlined in the professional services agreement? Well, he did make mention the city has the authority to terminate me with or without cause. Sick leave and scheduling. Examples involve doctor's appointments after already working and leaving meeting for medical issues involving my family. And the date he referenced, I remember it. I had an accident on a scooter and my ankle was the size of probably a baseball. And I walked through it. Well, that particular day I went to the hospital after working because I was in uniform and I remember it clear as day. I would come to work sick, handle the task at hand, and if needed, I would leave for the remainder of the day. But the city's position is that exempt executives must submit leave for every partial hour absence while routinely working nights and weekends. Next page. He also stated that I misrepresented allegations. I never instructed staff to deceive anyone. And you can ask my staff here. I wouldn't tell them to lie. He said that because I had restricted my calendar, that I did so to deceive where I was at. No, that's not the reason. All he had to do was ask me why. But he stated, he misstated something in that report stating I play in the gray. And that's not what I said. And I also, or by way of my attorney, we encouraged the city attorney to please look into that because it was recorded. What I said was, when the hen is away, the children will play. What does that mean? I didn't share my calendar because I wanted to periodically stop in and check to make sure the officers, the employees were doing what they were supposed to do. If they had access to my calendar, they know when I'm in a meeting or what have you. But what he stated was, I play in the gray. No, I said, when the hen is away, the children will play. Play back the recording, and I guarantee you that's what I said. But this practice allowed me to inspect what I expect. Next slide, please. He also stated I didn't have an officer in charge, which broke down command failures. Majority of my tenure here at the Forest Park Police Department, I didn't have a second in command until the end of November, beginning of December. And I'm sorry if I'm long-winded. There's a lot of stuff that has transpired over these last few months. But I had two majors who were responsible for managing their own divisions, and those are the two outside of the captain that would report to me. So it was three individuals. There was never an operational breakdown or command failure was identified. He never even asked me about it. But it's inside of that investigative report. Next page, please. And then my signature stamp allegation. This was the manipulation of records. I think that's what he called it or labeled it. My signature stamp was secured by my executive assistant, Ms. Dawson. He said I had no oversight. That's not accurate. The question he asked me is the response he got. Chief Chris, do you currently know where your stamp is? No. You don't think that you need to know where it's at? I said, Attorney Weems, I've been out on leave for the last 2.5 months. I'm sorry, 2.5 weeks. But I can tell you where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be with my assistant, Ms. Dawson. But all signature stamp, she would either call me, text me, or email me. And I'll show you the photographs to prove that as well. Next slide, please. Procurement and ring camera initiative. Councilwoman Gunn, we both guilty of this one. First and foremost, he accused me of stealing the ring cameras. And secondly, he stated that we split the payment to avoid the procurement practices. The purchases were reviewed through procurement, finance, and this stuff is on OpenGov. There was no concealment, no fraud, no personal gain.
I'll make a motion, we allow him to continue.
A second. All in favor? Aye. Please continue. The motion passes.
Thank you. I was accused by Attorney Weems that I had these cameras at my house. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a Ring fan. I got Google Nest. But myself and Councilwoman Gunn, we partnered on this initiative to keep the community safe. There was a split payment. You're absolutely right. Because the police department funded half of the purchase and the other purchase came from Councilwoman Gunn's budget. But I was found in violation of doing that. But I thought we did everything right. Next slide, please. Leadership style Grim Reaper allegation. I'm not the Grim Reaper. My philosophy, again, was firm, fair, and consistent. Law enforcement is a paramilitary environment requiring accountability. He said that I used profane language. I did. I used the words like damn and or hell while speaking passionately to the employees of the Forest Park Police Department. I never belittled anyone. I never insulted anyone. And I never used vulgar language outside of that to any employee. The Grim Reaper nickname, I'll tell you how they gave me that nickname. Because it was asked to me inside of a meeting. It was a Comstat meeting. They said, Chief, we heard you was called the Grim Reaper. And unfortunately, that was a nickname that I was given at the Clayton County Sheriff's Office. And let me tell you why. I was the executive captain to the sheriff. And my responsibility for the sheriff was to carry out disciplinary matters. So every time you saw me walking down the hall, it wasn't to bring good news, it was to bring bad news. So they labeled me as the Grim Reaper. But my question is should I be terminated for this? Next slide, please. And by the way, I'm towards the conclusion. I probably got maybe another 6 slides and I'll be done. All right. Attorney Weems also stated in his investigative report that there were inner circles. Well, there's only 2 individuals that I've hired that I've known outside of coming to Forest Park that I actually have a friendship with or relationship with. I recently appointed a deputy chief, and staff did not know that when I had opened it up last year, I wanted to see the interested parties to see so I could start a on-the-job evaluation. They didn't know it because I'm pretty sure if they knew it, they would have been giving me their all and their best during that time. And so I watched to see leadership styles, operational efficiency, and the person that I've known for 18, 19 years, I didn't select him as my deputy chief. I selected Chief Smith. And I didn't know Chief Smith prior to him coming. I knew of him, but there was no personal relationship. I can't say we've had one phone call. And that's the reason why I selected him into the position. And after that position, I then started to make some additional promotions. Captain Wilkerson didn't get promoted. Major Gant got promoted based off of her work performance over the last year that I was evaluating. But the decisions wasn't made by me. It was after conferring with Deputy Chief Smith. And then he made mention about our sergeant's exam process. Well, that process is done outside of the 4 walls of the police department. I contract the Georgia Associations of Chief of Police, and they handle it. But in his investigative report, he stated there was no wrongdoing found. He said it's what's perceived. Should I be terminated for this? Next slide, please. And this one's a tough one here. He said that I violated GCIC by allowing a 6-year-old child, I believe, inside dispatch. Well, let me tell you what happened. We have a dispatcher who lost her entire support system. I think she lost 3 or 4 relatives. She's a single mother with a 6-year-old child that attended the school directly behind the police department. She came to me and said, "Chief, I need help." She'd wanted to bring her child to the job who can't read or understand GCIC 2 days a week, 1 hour a day. I said, well, let me see what I can do for you. At the time, I talked to the city manager and the mayor, and they said, we can handle it. We can do it. And we did it. But he put this in his findings And Ms. Johnson would have been here today to let the people know that I did not violate any type of GCIC. But this was coming from someone who's been in the business for nearly 25 years, who's worked at other agencies who have done the same thing. But Attorney Weems, who practices law, stated that it was a violation. But outside of that, should I be terminated for that, for showing compassion for an employee that was in need of help? And I guess this is what Attorney Williams was referring to, that I was insubordinate or I violated the city charter. So my leave agreement prohibited discussions of this matter, the investigation with other employees. It did not prohibit operational continuity or concern for public safety. I complied with the restrictions regarding the investigation, but I had employees reaching out, "Hey, Chief, you okay?" "I'm good." And that was the extent of the conversation. And he asked me, "Chief Chris, do you think that's appropriate?" I'll let you all answer that question. Can you go back for me, please? It was not intended for me to if it was not intended for me to communicate with staff, shouldn't the agreement have stated that? That's the reason why it was important to have the city attorney involved early on. But should I be terminated for this act? Next slide. The report references ordinances 2-44, 2-37, and City Ordinance 2-44. I have no clue how these are relevant. I think one is in reference to clandestine recordings, and I don't even know what the other two are. Chain of command for the city manager. But these are city ordinance violations that the city, that was placed inside of this investigative report, and hopefully they can provide some context tonight to that. But how these ordinances specifically apply to the allegation. But in addition to that, I was never given a meaningful opportunity to explain or respond to the interpretation of those ordinances. And I would love to. Next slide. The interview was recorded by Attorney Weems. After reading the inaccuracies in the investigative report, we requested a review of the audio recordings with the city attorney. I dispute portions of the summaries and investigative conclusions. And my question is, has anyone had an opportunity to review the recordings for tone, for context, and accuracy? Open records requests were submitted back in April 29th after learning that interim city manager wanted to move forward with dismissal. And this was a little concerning to me. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I didn't get all my responsive documents until May the 15th, Friday, before the hearing. And the other thing that jumped out to me is that these open records requests came back to back to back to back. So I got 10, oh, I'm sorry, not 10. Several productions arrived minutes apart from each other. So I received an email at 9:05, 9:07, 9:10, 9:13, 9:15. So my question is, how long were these open records being held, and why? Some records produced were incomplete and or inaccurate, and I've responded to those, stating, "Hey, this is not what I requested," or "It's incomplete." And I don't have those documents sitting here today in front of you. The delayed and incomplete production impacts my ability to totally prepare for this hearing. But why were these responsive records delayed until shortly before this hearing? I was really debating moving forward with the hearing, because after employees of the city had leaked that I was stealing time without due process, it really impacted me and my family. They appeared at my home And I have a disabled father that stays with me who had to work his way to the door to be confronted by a camera in his face. My wife and children have been embarrassed by this. My kid was at a baseball game and the kid asked him, "Hey, I saw your dad on the TV. I heard he's a thief. He stole time." The personal impact on my family has been significant and painful. You can go to the next slide. No organization or executive leader is perfect. Administrative processes and communication systems can always improve. However, imperfection is not gross misconduct. Next slide, please. No opportunity to correct concerns. I wasn't counseled before. I have no performance improvement plans. I have no corrective actions, no progressive discipline, no meaningful opportunity to cure concerns before termination was recommended. Why wasn't I afforded that opportunity? Do these allegations truly rise to conduct that shocks the conscience? That's a question. That's a very high standard. Or are these administrative disagreements and policy interpretation issues? The PSA standard, which stands for Public Services, my Professional Services Agreement standard, should be carefully considered before termination for cause is pursued. Next slide. And this is my ask for council and mayor. I respectfully ask council to consider the totality of my service. I've asked council to consider the fairness concerns, operational realities, and lack of progressive correction. I ask council to consider whether the opportunity to cure should be provided as stated in my professional services agreement. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for fairness, transparency, due process, and context. I respectfully ask council and the public to evaluate whether the conclusions truly match the evidence. And here is some of the things that I wanted to highlight. The time reporting. I'm not sure if you can zoom in, Director Cox. This is the standard that I was looking at as it relates to time reporting. It talks about specifically non-exempt employees. And then if you look further down, it says exempt employees. They're two totally different classifications. Will receive the total, what does it say? Their normal salary for any work portion. Here, thank you. I can't see. I need glasses. Regardless of the number of hours worked. This is not a 40-hour, I'm not a 40-hour employee. I work until the job is done. And is it really ever done as a police chief? Next page, please. Overtime. And then if you see here in the definitions, it talks about non-exempt associates are eligible for overtime, pay under the FLSA when they work more than 40 hours in a work week. But then it also talks about exempt associates. Again, next page. These are text messages. And if you zoom in a little bit, this is regarding the telework agreement. Hey, chief. Oh, I can't read, y'all. I can't see. My eyes are bad. But essentially what it says is it states that, chief, human resources doesn't want an email copy. They want the hard copies, and I'm walking them over. But in the investigative findings, there is not one that exists. Next page, please. Flex leave was not recognized in the investigative report. But if you zoom in, there's a text message with Chief Clemens. And this text message said, hey, chief, I want to flex tomorrow. I got to come back in on Saturday for an officer memorial. Do you mind if that happens? She said, sure. We're closing early anyway. I said, okay, cool. Next page, please. This is the message that states that I was not at work. I'm down towards the end. If I can just finish, if that don't mind. Okay. This message pertaining to Chief Clemens, where I spoke to the girls of Can't Believe, but I was also marked absent, and she was thanking me for that. The message also shows where I left a council meeting early due to an emergency where my wife was sick and she needed to go to the hospital. But I wasn't required to put in sick leave then. That just shows that this is not a 9 to 5 job. The council meeting was at 7 o'clock. Next slide, please. And this is messages pertaining to my stamp. If you are able to read it, it shows that it is controlled. Prior to any type of usage of my stamp, even if I give a verbal okay, my assistant's gonna call me and say, hey, chief, is it okay if I use this such and such said, you said okay. Next slide is the same thing. Next slide is the same thing. And these are the days that the city alleged that I missed. Now, mind you, telework days are up there because the city can't find the agreement. But this was something I had been doing under Mr. Clark. Some of these days, like I stated, the city was closed. Some of these days, the city, I was at some of the events, the Can't Believe event, the opening of the dog park event. A matter of fact, I think Captain Wilkinson was talking about me because I was walking around with a mask on my face. That just shows that I came to work even when I was sick, not feeling well. And then in addition to that, my flex days. And that concludes my presentation.
So briefly in closing, Mayor and Council, thank you for your time. What we attempted to do was address each and every allegation that was in the report, but a few points of clarity. First of all, none of the allegations that were set out in the comprehensive investigative findings report were put to Chief Chris and myself during the course of the investigation. In fact, the legal parameters that we have, the law surrounding this is garrity. The requirements for garrity are very specific, and Chief Chris and I were given the Garrity Rights Advisory and Waiver Form during the course of the investigation, and I have a copy of the actual one that was given. Well, within it, Chief Chris raises his hand and he says, I swear I'll tell the truth. But what I want to direct the council and mayor's attention to is the purpose of the interview. And I'll pass this up to you. The purpose of the interview. Here, there's supposed to be the allegations. What's set out? Why are we here? Why is this interview going on? Well, it says here, and I quote, for the purpose of the interview, investigative report. That's it. That's it. So to Chief Chris's knowledge, the reason he was being interviewed was for an investigative report. Now, points of clarity, the calendar that was referenced, that was not Chief Chris's calendar. That was a calendar that was composed and comprised from some other source that was placed in front of Chief Chris during the course of the investigation, and he was told that these are the dates that were on your calendar. Now answer these questions. Chief Chris's responses were, I need access to my calendar. So
Point of order, Madam Mayor. Can we limit this to 1 minute, please? Because we're over the time.
It ain't no 10-minute charter.
I'll pass the Garrity Rights and Waiver Advisory Form up just for your review so that you could see how he was advised. Now, I just need to say this. At the outset, and forgive me because my usual playground is the courtroom, and we're accustomed to being able to confront our accusers, and the interim city manager is not here, but in her absence, I will
Oh, she here.
There we go. I'm sorry. So here we go. Let me say this. If in fact, Chief Chris has done something that is terminable, and you've given a reason to terminate him, which you've done so in this report, it is not accurate to say now he can be terminated for no reason because you've given him a reason. And I would just urge the council to focus on the reasons that were given and pay attention, close attention to the evidence that was presented to council to actually have a conversation about each and every one of the allegations that are set out. They've been responded to. They've been responded to satisfactorily. And this is the first opportunity that he's seen them, first opportunity that he's heard it, and the first opportunity that he's had to even have the conversation. Now, it was important that you as a council and mayor, you hear his voice in the PowerPoint, not mine. I am an outsider. It is not my career or my job. It is his. So it was important for us and for him that the mayor and council and the people, the public, are able to hear his responses in his own voice, which is why he gave the presentation. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your consideration. And I just ask that you reconsider your determination.
I have city manager to make a statement.
Greetings, Madam Mayor and Council, members of the community. I don't really have a statement. I just want the audience to know that Attorney Weems is here, as well as the subject matter expert that assisted Human Resources with the thorough review. Those are my comments.
Madam Mayor, questions from the dais? Okay.
And we'll have questions from the dais. Who would like to begin?
Our attorneys, are you guys going to?
So right now it's questions from.
Questions from the dais.
I'll wait till after.
So I'll start.
The city council or mayor can ask questions. If you want to clarify a question to Chief Chris about what he presented, or you want to request clarification from the city manager.
Not to you.
Yes.
To Chief Chris.
It's just a change.
I mean, you can ask questions, but it's really about the evidence that.
So, Madam Mayor, I do have a question. Thank you, Chief Chris, for being here. Unfortunately, I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. I do want to address some things that you said in your statement. You started off saying that this is not a fair opportunity. It's a political situation. I want to just recall your attention and ask you if you recall receiving a, well, actually, let me ask it like this. We began this conversation about a contract that you wanted to renew. Is that correct? Okay. And in that, you made comments about wanting to be paid for unused time, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my question to you is, when we ask for okay, let's see if we can get you the money that you deserve. We asked for what time did you take off? And you gave us some dates, right?
I gave you the dates of the leave request that was submitted that you guys, that I could locate. Yes, ma'am.
Right, okay. So just for the audience sake, I want everybody to understand that this whole process started off as trying to identify how we could pay Chief the compensation that he asked for. And then we found out that there were dates that were submitted that were not paid. So essentially it would be the city paying twice, pretty much, because those are dates that you submitted that you took vacations, went to Italy or wherever you went to on different vacation days.
That's
And
not
then-
accurate. That's
Okay,
not
well,
accurate.
let me just finish.
Okay.
So you wanted to be compensated for that time that you did not use, but essentially you used time. Okay, right?
No.
Okay.
So this professional services agreement, this was done by the city of Forest Park, not
Mhm.
me.
Yes, I understand.
And from my understanding, Councilwoman James, you first questioned the validity of this professional services agreement and you thought that it was forged by the mayor prior to her leaving. And so after I pulled the minutes and I sent that to the interim city manager, I think I sent that to her with the minutes showing that this contract was reviewed and approved by city council,
Yes, so let me get
including
to
the
the question.
minutes.
Let me get to the question.
And so I'm trying to answer your question, Councilwoman James,
Yes, sir.
respectfully. And so after reading the agreement, I found out that first thing was me asking for renewal through the city attorney. And I said, hey, I gave the city attorney a phone call. I said, hey, after I submitted this and I see that I'm eligible for renewal every single year, I also just learned that I'm eligible for all of these other things to include a payout for any type of leave.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. And so I said, I asked attorney, Metrocardi, what should I do? She said, hey, chief, whatever you're entitled to, you need to ask for. In addition to that, she said, whatever you want in your new contract, you should put that in as well.
Okay.
And I followed that direction.
Because I don't want to go into a long drawn out thing. So the
Well, I'm
court,
trying
the
to-
answer, no, the answer is you did put in for additional to get paid for time that you had already used. Bottom line, and
No,
and-
that's not accurate. I did not use those
Right,
times.
well, I'm gonna move on to the next thing.
Yes, ma'am.
You actually, so basically, that's how this whole thing kind of snowballed, okay?
That's not
Um,
accurate,
Well,
attorney. I mean,
in my
Councilwoman
eyes,
James.
this is how it snowballed, okay?
Okay.
Trying to pay you for time and then we're realizing the time was already taken. And then there were a couple of, and you mentioned that this was a political situation. Well, there were complaints that came in. It didn't come from I don't know if it came from anybody else on the dais, but it didn't come from, I don't think well, I think it came from the police department, within the police department. You had some complaints that came in. And so what our interim chief decided to do was, because we were in the whole transition with our city clerk and all of that, not to allow HR to do the investigation, to do a outside investigation. You received something, and I'm gonna ask you about this. You received a notice on February the 25th, and that notice says, notice of paid administrative leave pending an investigation. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says allegations concerning compliance with city policies, leadership practices, and other workplace related matters. Please be advised that this leave is not a disciplinary action, nor is it a finding of wrongdoing. This is something that you signed on in February, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You remember getting that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, as a part of this, there are certain things that were outlined in here. One is confidentiality and non-disclosure, right? And so this
Can you read
was
that for me so I can have full context what you're referring to, please?
yes. So in the notice, there is a confidentiality and non-disclosure statement, and it says, number one, investigative confidentiality. Number two, responsibility for representative and limited disclosure, as well as prohibit of public statements. So these are things that were outlined as a guideline for while you were on administrative leave, right? So my question to you is, when you were on administrative leave beginning in February, did you make contact with the dais, people on the council. Um, um, and I don't want to say that you were interfering, but there were things outlined why you were being investigated. Did you not get, because you said you didn't have a chance to respond and you didn't know why you were on leave. Is that something that you recall? Why you were put on administrative leave?
Yes, ma'am. And let me answer your question, please.
Mhm.
Yes, that is the form they gave me, but it was very vague and generic. I sent an email to, I believe it was forwarded to Attorney Metricardi for clarification on what egregious act was committed to be placed on administrative leave. And then Attorney Metricardi, or it was forwarded to me. I think it says, I got the email here.
Well,
Well, but I say all that to say is that it was very vague in nature. And yes, I reached out to council, didn't deny it, but it didn't say I could not reach out to council because council is not employees, they're elected officials. And my point for reaching out to the individuals, to this body, was to apologize that this was all transpiring. And conversations went from there. But I did not hinder in this investigation at any time. But my other thing with this is, was this during the expiration of the first leave? Because like I said, the city did not reach out to me after the expiration of the second extension.
okay.
And so this agreement, in my opinion, was null and void during that time
Okay.
because they were supposed to notify me that, hey, Chief Chris, we need some more time for this investigation and we're extending it. And these things are still into effect like they did on the first extension, but it
Gotcha.
did not happen on the second one.
Okay, so just a few more questions and I'll be done.
Yes, ma'am.
In the investigative finding, I just want to note that there were factual records, legal frameworks, witness testimonies, and identified risk areas. Also, in the scope of the work, there is documentary evidence, witness testimony, interviews, transcripts, administrative records, financial documentation, and operational practices. Also, as an executive summary, there is a pattern of systematic misconduct, governance failure, and breakdown of administrative controls. Also, I want to say that the investigation identifies practices of institutional deception, including directing staff to misrepresent the chief's whereabouts. Now, I heard your nice presentation, and it was very good. The investigation also sustained that your signature stamp was not properly controlled. As it relates to the workplace, I heard you in your statement mention about the workplace. The workplace was characterized by intimidation, hostility, and suppression of reporting, use of profanity, and normalization of fear-based management. The allegations concerning unfair promotions, practices, and favoritism within the police department. Testimonial evidence gathered during the investigation reflects consistent and credible concerns among employees regarding the perceived existence of an inner circle dynamic influence. And then finally, I'll say the most critical is also that the investigation confirms the willful insubordination and interference with investigation process. And then I'll also make one final comment before I pass it on to my colleagues. Is it normal, or would you say having, let me get my numbers. Mm. 88 Since your tender in May 2023 through May of 2026, having 88 employees either resign or be terminated in lieu of resignation, is that something that is a good practice within a police department?
Well, I'm not for sure what you would consider a good practice, but what I can tell you is that I haven't terminated 88 employees. I know that for a fact. There have been employees to leave the police department, but guess what? They went other places and they're here in support of me today.
Sure. Thank you.
Drop the mic, chief.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Chief Chris, I was in favor of paying you out because everybody in this city know I'm about the dollar bill. Okay? Question. Did you not send in upon the request? I requested for your time of leave, sick leave, all those hours you were asking that was up to 80 hours to be presented to us and for us to move beyond this situation. You remember me asking for those time periods or the hours you were asking for. You remember me asking for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and once it was received, what we saw in black and white was there was no time that you had taken in 3 years, in black and white that led what I'm seeing in black and white. Everybody saw it in black and white that raised questions. What do you mean? You never took sick leave. It was never recorded. And that is the aspects of that sent red flags.
That's not accurate, ma'am. I took personal holidays.
I understand you took personal holidays, but it was not in black and white for us to see for where you took time off for us to see obtain the hours that you requested for us to pay you out.
If I can respond. So I have documented leave requests, personal leave requests that were in the system. The biggest issue is the actual vacation leave and the sick leave. I come to work when I'm sick.
Steve Chris,
And let me
Steve
finish,
Chris,
please.
just
Let me
am I allowed to?
can I
Because I
finish?
don't want a commentary with this
You're-
attorneys. What I do want to know is what you
Can't-
presented to us. It had a zero balance of you not using not one day in this city that was presented to us for us to pay out X amount of dollars that added up to thousands of dollars to pay you out for 80 hours. Did you give that to us? Did you present, when the question was asked to you to present that, to pay you out, did you presented that to us or what did you send? What do you require?
So if I can answer that question, and please just let me get it out. Yes, you did request those items, but I've also was requested how many vehicles, or you
I
want to,
only want to stay on
I'm trying to give you an answer.
no vehicles. No, let's not talk about vehicles,
Well, at the
badges.
time of the request, that request came along with 20 other requests. We want to know how many miles each officer drives in his patrol car since he's been there. We want to know how many cars Chief Chris drives and how many miles he drives that car. And I had a deadline to get that into the city manager, which was by the end of the day. And I submitted all of the information that I could to you in that time. No, I have not taken
Did you not submit the whole aspects of why we're here today? And it wasn't about cars. It wasn't about you being accountable in the park. It was about your time that was submitted. You did all for me. For me, what I saw in that executive room, along with my colleagues, were statements that showed that he had not taken 1 day of sick leave, and that's what we asked for. Because my thing was, I wanted to pay you out. I want you to get that check, but you showed nothing. You showed not 1 hour you had taken. You didn't give accountability. And then there was another aspect that you began to say, well, I don't understand. I didn't have policies presented to me. I don't understand what a workday constitute. And what I want Forest Park to understand is we had this allegation out here that we don't give handbooks and we don't have policies. That's what we are elected to do, to implement policies here. Here is a statement. It's called an acknowledgement and receipt. It is a policy and procedure manual that describes important information from the city of Forest Park to our directors, where you have signed off on. And one of those aspects of you signing off on came from the 11th month, the 22nd date in the
Councilwoman
year
Guy,
of 2023.
could you get to the question?
The question, and again, the information that was requested from us, do you recall seeing a zero balance of you not taking any days, what you presented to us, what we asked for, the hours that we need to pay you out?
So
That we
respectfully,
need to pay you out.
respectfully, Madam Councilwoman Gunn, it just appears as though the council is interested in giving the allegations of this arbitrary and capricious report, which we've read. We got that. But what he's trying to do is respond thoroughly and give the council an idea with color of what the answers are, and he's constantly being interrupted. I would just ask he be allowed to give his response, just as you're allowed to ask your question.
Did you give us
Your
accurate
time.
information to accumulate the hours to pay you out when we requested those hours from you?
I was requested one time along with all of those other things. And the issue that I had brought forth was, in addition to that, those were not just days off. I worked on those days. I worked and responded to emails. I put things on the agenda. I was called back to work. I was on a conference call with my wife in Jamaica on a holiday, and I'm on the phone in a conference call. And like I said, yes, I know we brought up the trip to Italy. There's flex days, there's telework days, and all of those things. And the great benefit of that is that with flex days and those holidays and our telework days, there's really no need to use leave because I'm here. I'm here sick. I'm here limping. I'm here wearing a mask. So that is my response to you, Councilwoman Gunn.
That you presented all the hours. Okay, I digress. Chief Chris, I want to ask you a question. Can you explain to us what GCIC is for? No?
No, so that was not included as relevant in the comprehensive report. So it needs to be limited to what's in the record
Okay.
already. Thank you.
Okay, so Chief Chris, the 911,
Excuse me, just a point of order. I think that there's an allegation of violation of GCIC.
There's not an allegation that it was violated. It was saying potential. So there was no specific allegation against.
But it's
Violation
in the
of
comprehensive
GCIC.
report.
You can point it to me, but there was not a finding that it was violated.
How are we biased just by giving a definition of GCIC?
Because it's not relevant to the proceedings. But if you want to have that question asked, you can, but I don't think it's relevant because wasn't a ground for
so
termination.
city attorney, step off that question. Is that what you're saying?
If it's going to,
Thank you,
if it's
Mr.
going
Gardy.
to assist the
I'm going to
councilwoman in
listen
her
to the city manager
determination,
from
I'm.
the city of Forest Park.
think that he
Thank
should
you so
answer
much,
the
sir.
question.
I truly appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, attorney.
You're
sir.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. So, Chief Chris, the 911 operating room, where there is crucial calls that are coming in. From what we received, that you stated a child, but there were children that were in that 911 room. Is that appropriate to have children in the 911 operating room?
So the only other child that we could be referring to is the birth of a newborn. And she brought her kid to show, while she was out on FMLA, was to show her baby off to her coworkers. And that
But-
was it. And so is it appropriate? I don't see anything wrong with it. And
So,
that's why it was allowed.
okay, so in a 911 operating room, a mother can have, and I am a mother of three. And let me tell y'all something, the first time I hear my child move, grunt, grumble, either I'm gonna pop them or make sure that everything is okay. Okay, so with this child being in this room and a mother is attentive to calls that come in to make sure that we are clear as so let me finish. You say from my understanding, you were very kind-hearted. You allowed one of your workers to allow a child to be in there, and you gave at least an hour of discretion for them to be in that room. That's what I remember you saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, with a mother being attentive to their child, do you think that is the best practicing policy? If I'm on the end in a ditch and I'm calling 911, and it's a great possibility, you know how children do what children do, to have that child in that space, because that is 911 for America is emergency, emergency, emergency. And so was that you being a commander of 123 persons? Do you think that was the best sound quality movement to start a daycare service in the 911 operating?
A daycare service.
You guys, I'm
So-
asking questions, y'all. Come on now, I'm asking questions now.
So,
Let me ask the question.
Councilwoman Gunn, I will
Yes, sir,
gladly
go.
answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is, Councilwoman Gunn, you have to work in that environment to know. And I've been around that environment for over 20 years. It's not one person, just one person working in there. There's three individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is something that the parent needs to step away from, she can definitely do so. But I can tell you, and the entire dispatch center will come and tell you that it was not an interruption of service. There was no type of service. Service did not diminish to the public at all. No one was hurt or injured. We continue business, but the city of Forest Park, we state that we care about our employees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't a daycare center. It was us helping a individual, an employee, a member of this family, Councilwoman Gunn,
Mm-hmm.
in a time of need.
So now my question is, because you just stated there was nobody hurt, no injuries, why was there a dispatch that went out for this child that had got cut themselves on a knife? And that child needed medical attention. For you to say that nobody was hurt and we are in a 911 setting, that means good, nobody was hurt, but the child was injured. And and understand, I'm a mother of three that caught the bus. Had to catch the bus with three kids, drop them off, go to school, go to work, come back and pick them back up. That child was hurt in that room. That could have been a liability on the city. I understand it was not, but we
Is
Question.
there a question? We need to make sure that these are questions. We
So-
need all
so-
night if we're going to be talking about the report. So I
Okay.
just want to make sure that the council, everyone has the same opportunity to ask questions
Okay,
in relation to
so
the ground.
Chief,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
were saying, colleagues, thank you, I love you guys. So you were saying nobody was hurt, but there was a child, the only child that was in there that got hurt in that room. Is that true? Yes or no?
So Councilwoman Gunn, The child stuck his hand in his mother's purse and
Did the
hurt
child
himself.
get in a 911 operator?
Yes, I'm in the process of answering it. And yes, the child stuck his hand in his mother's purse and cut his finger. I did not know that the child was coming in outside of that temporary parameters. And once that was, once that was brought to my attention, it ended immediately because that was not the parameters of this child coming. And that was before this investigation even launched. This was before anyone had to correct it for me. So as a responsible leader, I took action when I saw that the original parameters had been violated.
Chief, I just feel the child should have never been in there, been put in that position. Okay, Matthew Carter told me to move on, but I'm telling you straight up, okay?
I totally get your, I get what you're saying, Councilwoman Gunn, but in addition to that, I cleared this with the city manager and the mayor at the time. So it was not just me.
We have it in writing?
I'm sorry?
Did they sign off on it? Is it in writing where we could see it and go through it that was clear?
No, ma'am, but, no, the previous mayor, but in addition to that, Councilwoman Gunn, I don't have that in writing, but that was the investigator's responsibility to seek out my answers and my responses during the investigative process, but he did.
I understand, but you just stated that the previous manager and the previous mayor gave you authorization, and I just wanted to make sure, was there anything in writing to support what you are stating?
No, ma'am, but a phone call that could have been made by Attorney Weems to the mayor at the time and or the city manager probably would have sufficed.
You
But that was the
don't have it, you didn't
I
keep
can't
it,
complete it.
you didn't keep it's not in writing, all right. Thank you so much.
Chief Chris, looking sharp.
I tried, Councilmember Gutierrez. You looking good up there yourself.
So yeah, like I think, the point was made, before you authorize it's in a 911 center, you got that cleared, correct?
That is correct.
I want to formally apologize to you, just for all of this and for how we found out. I think for us as a city, wanting to create that unison in that One Forest Park, this is not, the route to go, but, regardless, we're here. So, I'm at a loss for words, especially when you mentioned the culture survey that was made. When was that made? Measuring the department culture.
Yes, Chaplain Tuck did that at the end of December.
And what was the number? You said 89, right?
89%.
So that
Yes,
was
sir.
90% of your staff is, what does that mean?
Almost 90%. That's way above average. And that is a department of approximately 110, 115 employees. And so Pastor Tuck was going to come here to present, but he had another engagement. And I would have been able to show the council that report that he completed. But that was way before this investigation was launched.
Okay. You mentioned that the investigation, I mean, you mentioned you're an investigator. How would you rate the, I guess, investigative skills of the attorney we had?
Relevant to the actual termination.
Gotcha. Do you think that he uncovered items related to the termination?
I think the best person to answer that question would be my counsel because he was sitting present. I don't want to be biased, but as a trained investigator for many years, hypothetical questions. Chief Chris, who would you believe if you had two people say one thing and one person to say the other? I don't know. So if those were some of the questions, hey, Chief, who would be a better police chief? Chief Labatt or Sheriff Labatt? Darren Sharonbaum? Kevin Roberts? Those were some of the hypothetical questions he was asking. And or he would ask a question. that would be 7 questions in one and would totally lose me throughout the process. But I'm not going to put you in that space, Attorney Wade. But I would say that a good attorney seeks all the facts. Oh, I'm sorry, a good investigator seeks all the facts. And he present the facts whichever way they may fall. And if I had pointed out to him that there was this report, that report should have been supplied inside of that investigative report. If I stated, that this is my hiring practices, those should have been questions. And those answers should have been supplied into this report. But if you look at this report, there's misspoken words.
I had to sit through it, I know.
I had to, and I never said I play in the gray, but that's in that report. And I just encourage you all just to play back the recordings because he recorded it. And there was nothing direct. Question, Chief Chris, were you at work on October the 1st, January the 13th, and here are your facts? And this blew my mind. He read a policy in front of his computer. Chief Chris, let me read something to you. He read it to me. Do you agree with that? And I said, Attorney Williams, can I please see what you're reading? It's your policy. Can I see it? Can you provide me a copy? No. Can you show me your screen so I can see what you're reading from? No. I said, is there a reason why? I just don't want to. So these are the questions that Attorney Williams was asking. And to show the unprofessional portion of it is if I get up and say, Attorney Williams, I hate that we met under these circumstances, and extend my hand to you and you look at me and say, no, I'm good. That instantly turned that to from a professional setting to a personal setting. So I would say no, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, I had to sit through that, and it's been a lot of presentations. It's probably made the top 3 worst presentations of my life. So with all due respect, when, Attorney Wings, maybe he had a bad day. Maybe he was pressured into turning something in by a certain time. I think that's what he said. But then it was proven that it wasn't. So I want to know, Chief, going back to the email question you got and give you an opportunity to respond like civil people. The question that was asked was, why didn't you, present to us the dates that were being asked? Like
Yes.
I know there was a whole bunch of compounded questions that day related to this. This is kind of what triggered a lot of these investigations allegedly. So what do you have to say to that, about that response?
Yes, sir. So that request came to me, but in my opinion, that should have been handled through by way of human resources because they manage the payroll system, not me. But that was my task to handle. In addition to that, they wanted, this email was to request how many vehicles. They wanted the total mileage for every officer that has a take-home vehicle inside of the city. How many miles have they drove in a year? And I called Chief Clemens and I raised that concern to Chief Clemens. I said, Chief Clemens, I don't have time to gather all this information. What should I do? And Chief Clemens, can you attest to that?
I can attest that the request was made by Councilmember Wells, not just for you, but for the entire city.
I still ain't got the answer.
You received it.
So I did not have like I said, they're correct, that information should have come from human resources, but that was something that was put on my plate all at once with all these other requests. And I was running the largest department in the city.
So while you're acting chief.
Yes, sir. And I did not have enough time to present all of that. But now, once the dates were identified, I provided meaningful explanation. And that was the first time that I had a full opportunity, and not necessarily a full opportunity, but an opportunity to present that, because I still was denied the access to those devices.
All right, Chief. I think that's it for me. I just want to thank you again, and just thank you for always being responsive. I can see where your logic, by being away, by always being responsive through email and through phone, lies, especially with the shifts that we've had in leadership. So I take accountability for that in us, and not, having a stable form of government and giving you maybe clarity on what was allowed or was not. I think this all could have been handled by a conversation, and, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gutierrez.
I piggyback off the sentiments of Councilman Gutierrez, Chief. I think I've told you plenty of times how I don't like the police. Everybody know it. I don't like the police. Police done did some crazy stuff to me right here in Forest Park, but you changed that. You bridged the gap. You bridged the gap when it comes to community and police. And I appreciate you for that. And I'm sorry that you're having to go through this because again, I think it was said outside in prayer. And I think your attorney mentioned it. It's personal and political. It's personal and political. So I'm gonna get to my questions. Like Councilman Gutierrez said, this was the worst investigation I've ever had to sit through in my life. And Attorney Metricardi, and I want to ask you this question. When we got through listening, we were all coming out of executive
Please
session.
don't talk about any of our attorney-client privilege communications that we have in.
So this was
executive.
outside of executive session.
So
You want me to tell on you? Okay, it was outside of executive session, but okay, it's fine.
Any communications that we have is attorney-client privilege
Okay, of course.
communication.
So again, we knew from the jump that it was bogus, okay? So we knew from the jump that it was bogus, and I think it sounds like a circus up here. It's real embarrassing. Because for one, we playing with somebody's life. We playing with somebody's integrity. And y'all was scrambling. You see, like you just gotta listen to yourself. If I made a decision and I stand firm on that decision, it's nothing for me to go. Everything that was asked, he answered it. He responded to everything, all of the allegations, which are again bogus. So my question to you, Chief, when this election thing, we had Officer Thomas who used to work for the city, and I wish he can come back. I still wish he can come back. I think he's an amazing individual. Officer Thomas ran for office. He ran against Councilwoman James. And I know you wanted to bring him back at one point. Can you speak to that? Like, can you?
It's got to be relevant to the grounds for termination. We got to keep it.
Anyway, again, that goes to what I'm saying. It's political. It's political. And then there was an investigation with me. Well, I ain't gonna say that either because everybody know that was. But again, it was personal. Chief Clemens, I asked you a question, and this was I said it while we were sitting up here. I said it last night at the council meeting. I said when we were talking about the time, and I said, Chief, it's him today, but it can be you tomorrow. Yeah. You do the same thing. I said, you do the same thing. What you say? Yeah. Yeah. So when he explained that exempt, you said it last night, I ain't gonna lie on you.
I'm gonna clarify it though. Let's go.
I want you to clarify. I
True.
specifically said, Chief, you do the same thing. Because y'all are exempt employees. The chiefs are not held to the same standard as a regular employee. And you said yes. Yeah. How is he getting fired for doing the same thing you do? How are you the one that fired him as our interim city manager for doing the same thing you done admitted to me doing 2 days in a row? So Chief Chris, you said, and you can go ahead and answer, Chief, if you want.
So to clarify what you stated last night is that we are held at different standards.
Mhm.
That doesn't necessarily mean we're not supposed to report leave.
It's not what I
But
said.
that's what I was referring to. However, yes, we work more than 40 hours for sure. That's what I was stating last night.
Okay. So again, there was this long list of dates that y'all said that Chief Chris was not here. He has proof that he was. And so Chief, my question is to you is, can you give us the picture in your office on one of these days that they said you weren't there? Like, I don't know if you had a physical paperwork. I just would like to see that if you don't mind.
Baby, can you please show that picture of me being in the office?
And can we put the list of dates back up there if y'all don't mind, just so we can be transparent and the people see what's really going on?
So why she looking for that? I'm just gonna say again,
I'm sorry, the evidentiary portion is closed, so any additional evidence should have been presented during the presentation itself. So this is the question.
he talked about it. It's just the physical information. He talked about it.
But there's no rules governing this.
Okay, I mean, I'm just saying, I'll defer to the mayor on how she wants to proceed. As outlined, the evidentiary portion was already closed, so.
Okay, just disregard it. Disregard it. Again, it's political. Where's the recording? Chief Chris, you mentioned that there was a recording. Does anybody have a recording of the investigation?
Recordings were mentioned by Councilwoman James as she outlined the comprehensive investigative finding. She indicated all these different sources, testimony and recordings and audio and video recordings. She indicated that those existed. We know that they exist because we were told that they exist during the course of the interview. Now that begs the question, where are they?
Can anybody answer the question? Where's Councilwoman James? Did you hear it?
I didn't state I had recordings, but I do know that the investigative report, I can read to you what I said. I said factual records, legal framework, witness testimony, and identified risks. Risk areas. I highlighted everything that I said. Not one time did I say a recording, but there is a recording from what I understand by Mr. Weems after getting the investigative findings report that we have. If you all would like to listen to the recordings, you can. I have the information in front of me that I need.
I would please ask that you do.
Been asking where the recording is since he presented the bogus investigation. Where's the recording? Like, where's the recording? Can't nobody answer the recording, but y'all want us to sit up here and terminate a chief of police that protects our community, that has the crime rate down 63% in 6 years, that has a fully staffed department, and y'all don't even have the information y'all need to make a decision, but y'all okay with terminating him. Make it make sense. And I don't have a relationship with Chief Chris. Like, I feel the love for him. I tell this man I love him because I have a heart just like he have a heart. And politics is not my life. When you said that you brought that child in because of what that lady went through, and for you to keep being questioning about that same when you just trying to help an employee says a lot about the people that serve. So I appreciate you for that. I don't have no more questions. My questions are all to the city. Like, we got to be held accountable. Y'all can't just feel some type of way about somebody because you don't like them, or because you don't like who they have a relationship with, or because you're a part of an investigation, or because he want to hire somebody that's amazing to this community that ran against you. That's not a reason to terminate him. And I think he's proven his case tonight. Y'all have a blessed night.
Well, I can say this, being at the end of the line, we've labored very long about specific items. I think that we need to move on with the hearing because we've beat the dog about half to death about the series. And only comment I want to make about it is, I didn't understand, or I don't understand why we have not had a one-to-one with him to bring all this out. I've been in labor all my life, and there's two sides, and you have to have both sides before you can make a conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Mears.
Amen.
Is there a motion now to move into executive session to recess from this special meeting?
So moved.
Mayor, I know there's a motion on the floor, but as a part of the proceedings, he's allowed his closing statement.
Mm. Oh, okay.
And
sorry.
I gotta use the restroom, so I'm not gonna make it long.
Left your hand.
I'm with you. It's just real quick. First and foremost, regardless of the decision made tonight, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you on the dais for allowing me to serve this city. I attempted to do the best that I could in this city, and I believe I made a huge change in this city. And so I want to say thank you all for giving me that opportunity, regardless of what the decision that is made tonight. And the community, I think this may be I don't know. I'm not going to speak negativity, but community, I want to let you all know that I love y'all. Um, I'm not an emotional guy, but y'all tearing me up here. But it's been a pleasure. I came to Forest Park 3 years ago, May 1st, and truth be told, I didn't know what I was walking into. And I'm gonna look at y'all while I talk. I didn't know what I was walking into. And what I what I walked into was a place that made me feel like family. Um, you all embraced me. Y'all took me under your wing, and you all helped me change this department, change the city, and made the city a safer place. But without the community, law enforcement is not effective. And so I hope that I bridged a gap between the community and law enforcement. But I would like to say sincerely, I thank each and every one of you all for allowing me to serve as your your chief of police for the last 3 years. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Motion is on the table. Do we have a second? To exit. Councilman Gutierrez second the motion that was on the table. We're going to be going into executive session and recessing. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we got a second.
And why are we going into executive session?
That's to discuss personnel, real estate, cyber security.
Mayor said aye.
Are there any?
You got your.
Okay. Okay, the motion passes. We're moving into executive session. Thank you. Motion to exit the executive session and reconvene the special meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to affirm the city manager's recommendation to terminate Brandon Chris and to appoint Deputy Chief Smith as the interim city, police chief.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
No. Roll call, please.
Councilmember James,
Aye.
Councilmember Gunn,
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez, Councilmember Akins Wells, Councilmember Mears.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. So MetroCard, I have a question, point of order. Being that the precedence is already set, right? When it comes to a mayor vetoing, because Chief Chris has a contract with the city, which also follows the resolution, that means the mayor can veto the termination. And again, the precedence is already set with our old fire chief. The mayor vetoed his termination with us bringing him back. And so the precedence is already there. And so I want to, well, never mind, I don't even need your opinion. I just want the mayor to know that she can exercise her.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. This is not a resolution, so it's not vetoable.
Precedence is already there. It's been done before. It's been done before.
So based off of the charter, it's a vote. And so only veto applies to resolutions and ordinances. It doesn't apply to just a regular motion.
So the precedence being there with this being done before, that's just,
I wasn't here. I'm not
no,
familiar.
I'm not saying that you were here.
I'm
saying
not
that the
familiar with
precedence
that.
is there.
But based off of your charter and the charter provisions that apply to this appeal hearing, it's not a resolution, it's a
Then-
vote. Of course.
Thank you.
Could we request like outside counsel for this and not the opinion of our current?
You can, yeah, I'm happy to, see.
Not
that
someone
if
that you
want
recommend.
one. No, of course. If you want to seek, this is legal opinion. And, you're happy to get legal opinion in another place.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Madam Mayor, I will, if you would allow, would like to make a statement to.
Thought we couldn't make statement. Point of order. I thought we couldn't
to-
make any more statements.
Oh, can't make a
Yeah.
closing comment?
No, we don't have closing comments.
Okay.
On the hearing. Is it adjourned at this point? Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? So. Meeting adjourned. Oh, all in favor? Meeting adjourned. Wow.